You know that machine I dropped in Edmonton from that load that got screwed up? That was a separate load, right, by itself. And now I'm sitting in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan with the same machine. I'm gonna call this video Stranger Than Fiction. So basically, after I dropped that piece of probably Chinese engineering, I drove to a Esso truck stop nearby in Edmonton and started looking for a load. And there's nothing, like there was maybe one load for a flatbed within 200-mile radius of Edmonton. Everything else required driving, you know, like 350 miles. Most of them were either in BC, British Columbia, or Saskatchewan, and they were pretty cheap. And I didn't want to do, you know, too much deadhead because I already drove from Calgary to Edmonton, right? And I was searching for loads from basically Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, going to Midwest US, you know, like Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, stuff like that, because that's where all the loads are to take me back home to Ontario. And there was 0 loads from Alberta inside Canada, and I'm talking about Landstar load board. Landstar load board. So I'm sitting there, and as usual, like staring at my computer, my eyes are watering. There's nothing, right? And I called a few local agents that Rob, the freight broker from Alberta, suggested, and they are Landstar agents, and they have access to Canadian load board. I called those, and there's nothing. Okay, we'll post your truck. Okay, they post my truck, nothing happens. So finally, around 3 hours later, my phone rings, and a familiar voice, the same agent I dealt with on this screwed up load with 2 machines where one was not ready, he said, he's laughing, like he's... I pick up the receiver, and there's like the phone, and the guy says, you wouldn't believe what's happening. I said, what's going on? He says, the same machine you dropped in Edmonton, now they want it on a truck heading to Pennsylvania by itself, and they want it there Monday morning. I said, what? And he says, yeah, and they're paying $3,400 so gross revenue. They don't want to wait for the second machine, but evidently they sold this machine. They just want it there Monday morning, July 15th. And he says, I thought that I would give you a chance to, you know, like a shot at this before I post this on the load board. And by the way, here's an interesting thing that you see, agents, when you're nice to them, because I didn't argue with this guy, right? He called me before posting the load, because normally they don't like posting loads if they know for sure they can find a driver, because, well, posting is easy, but then he gets a whole bunch of calls, you know, he has to answer 2,000 questions, you know, like, you know, as I spent time with this, so he gave me a chance. And I said, what about the previous thing where they said they'll pay $1,500 for detention, again, gross, so I'm not getting all that money, only roughly what, like 76-77%. And he says, no, that's separate load. He says, that's done and closed. We agreed upon that. This is a different purchase order. That's what the customer, you know, the consignee send them. Purchase order, basically, kind of promise to pay for hired trucking service. He says, yeah, if we can find something, you know, another small piece to put on your truck, maybe somewhere in Midwest going to Canada, you know, to Ontario, then I can deliver this machine to Pennsylvania and head north to Canada. But I mean, if you add $1,500 and $3,400, that's $4,900, right? So it's only $100 less than what these guys originally promised to pay for 2 machines, you know. So so the agent was laughing. He said they shot themselves in the foot with this, you know. So I'm not complaining. Like, the rate, of course, is very cheap because it's 2,400 miles, and you would think that, wait a second, so $3,400, like, how does that work? But because I already made $1,500 on the same machine, so it's basically, it's like I'm moving one machine pretty much for $5,000, you know. So that's pretty good, because it's very light. It's only 20,000 pounds, so I'm saving on fuel, and I can drive and whistle. One guy says, "What do you do when you drive for fun?" You know, some questions I'm getting on the, you know, like, what can you do when you're driving? You're supposed to pay attention, right? So that's why I wrote I whistle. So, well, sometimes I sing songs, but actually the correct answer to that question would be what I really like doing when I'm driving, and that does not interfere with the safety and stuff like that. I listen to, you know, audiobooks. I just pick up, you know, some kind of a thriller, especially when I need to do lots of miles. I just go to a truck stop, and usually they have something in a $10 range, and I get that, and that would give you like 5 discs, basically 5 hours of entertainment. You know, that's like so much better than spending $10 on a DVD with one movie that you can watch maybe twice, you know. But actually I already recorded this video, kind of you know, day one, Edmonton to Alberta to Pennsylvania, yesterday, but it was already dark. So I went to take a shower, and it was light inside, and I decided to record the video in the shower. And then I look at the final, I spoke for like 10 minutes, and then I look at the final video, and it kind of looks weird. You know, I'm sitting in a tank top, there's tiles on the walls, and there's echo. So you can say that the guy is recording the vid either in the washroom or in the shower, so it doesn't look right. So I deleted that, so now I'm recording again. Now it's light, it's day 2, so I feel a bit better now because I am making some money. Unfortunately, this is Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so I don't know if it'll too far, but diesel is $19.9 per liter, exactly the same as gas. See diesel on the right, green numbers. This is Flying J in Saskatoon. And in Alberta, it was, what was it? I think it was like $1.16 or $1.15. There's always cheaper, you know. That's one good thing about Alberta. It's always cheaper there. Now, you know, I feel a bit better when I drink something hot. So I'm having coffee here. I reduced my intake to 1 cup because I noticed, you know, internet never lies. They say this affects your prostate. Did you know that? When you drink too much coffee, in men, it affects your prostate. I'm not talking cancer or anything, but it just, you know, affects the size, and that can create some bad sensations. So guys, be careful with coffee, especially after 50. I'm serious. So now I come down to like 1 cup. I mostly drink herbal tea, the one I showed you before. This is great, like no caffeine, and it's so tasty. It's like, you know, lots of nice flavors. But anyway, another thing that, you know, I kind of, as we say in Russian, nabolelo, you know, like something that hurts inside, is why it's so difficult to find a load when you're a Landstar driver. You know, like, I'm a big patriot of the company, and when I'm in US going to Canada, hey, they pay you $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, especially, let's say, from Texas to Alberta. You know, rates are unbelievable. Not so much to Ontario, but still, you know. But coming out of, let's say, Alberta, just this morning, okay, yesterday there was 1 load right in Edmonton, right? The rest was, like I said, Saskatchewan, BC. Now this morning, this guy Rob I met the other day, right? The freight broker, he basically opened my eyes at this situation. You know, like, I thought the problem was not with the Landstar, but with the freight situation in that particular province, let's say in Alberta. Now Rob, he subscribed to the Canadian Load Board, like, you know, the same. It's kind of like Transcore, only it's specific to Canada, right? So I don't think Americans subscribe to this, like Landstar probably. I know the agents have access to 360, which is the same Transcore, but it all available in sections, you know, like you can choose only US or Canada, and Canadian version is very expensive. So I don't think they have access to, well, not all of them, because they all they have their own business, right? They're not just exclusive agents for Landstar. They have their own trucking company or freight business, so probably through that business they subscribe to the Canadian part. But he just posted a truck on this Canadian board, and he sent me like 5 pages of printouts. You know, there's no like pricing or anything, but it's just an idea of what's available. You know, it's like, what the heck? And he searched for loads within 200 miles of Edmonton. Like, I was able to find only 1 load. You know, so clearly there's a problem with this approach. So you know, that's what's. And I heard about this, you know, like Canadian guys. I once talked to a guy from I think Saskatchewan, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know a couple of guys that started with Landstar, and then they quit." You know, and because, like, honestly, I'm struggling. I've been struggling for 2 years. It's okay. Sometimes you can make a lot of money, but then, you know, you have to pay bills. And if I could stay in US all the time and just do runs inside US, hey, I'd be laughing. That's why whenever people ask me, you know, how do you like Landstar, the first question I ask, I say, are you American or Canadian? So if you're American, it's a great company because they subscribe to all these US boards. But that's the problem, you know. So what I'm going to do now, we have a department called BCO Advisor. Basically, kind of people that you can ask all kinds of questions. So now when I start driving, I'm going to use my headset, safety first. I'm going to call those guys and ask them, like, are they, because I know the agents have access to the 360 board. I'm going to ask them, do they have access to Canadian exclusive load board from Transcore? Because that's a killer question, you know. So I'm really kind of psychologically, you know, turning towards this idea of getting my own authority and becoming an approved carrier. And like this guy says, so why don't you call these guys? You know, they also Landstar agents, but they also have membership of this Canadian board. And I called them and nothing happens, you know, because no one is interested to sift through loads, because you have to call them, call all those guys that posted the loads, because there's no pricing, right? So you know, unless of course it's a huge load, something over dimensional, you know, so that they know they will make lots of money. But I think as we say in Russian, спасение в руках утопающих. So basically, to save yourself, you have to save yourself. You know, no one is going to help you. So that's why I'm thinking I would do a better job if I had this subscription. You know, I would do a better job, and then maybe later, I don't know, just, you know, hire a guy to drive my truck, and I will focus on the freight side of the business. You know, make $1 million and retire to Florida. Who knows? To be continued. So I just talked to Landstar broker, Landstar agent. Then I talked to independent freight broker, and I talked to Landstar BCO advisor. And I asked them, why is it so difficult to find loads out of Canada? And what I understand now is that Landstar is trying to eliminate brokered loads. You know, they encourage their agents to find loads through direct shippers. And of course that's nice, because this way they can keep more money. But on the downside, it means that, let's say, out of Canada, out of Western Canada, they have very few loads, because it's a U.S. company. Right, so they don't know many shippers in Canada, so all the loads must be brokered. All the loads must be done through a broker, and that's why it's so hard for me to find a load. And no, they do not have. Hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. So basically, Landstar wants owner-operators like me work only with their agent. When the agent has the shipment from a direct shipper. So it makes sense for them, but for me, it does not make too much sense because I work with a broker anyway, right? So, I mean, if I find a load on the Landstar board, I have to deal with the Landstar agent. So, because they try to get away from brokered loads, they miss out on a lot of Canadian loads. So if I have my own authority and I become an approved carrier for Landstar, which means I can do their loads and I can do other loads, then basically I can sign up for Canadian load board and I can work with Canadian brokers, you know, and I can use factoring companies, I can use quick pay options, so I can do the same thing like most brokers. They offer you a quick pay, which means that they keep 3% and they give you the rest right away, you know, like within 2 days. You can also get cash advances, and you get, if you're Canadian and the broker is Canadian, you can get direct deposit into your bank account, you know. So I think for a driver such as myself, I have to keep my options open. I must be able to find loads in Canada, not just US. I'm at a Petro-Canada next to Flying J in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. There's a restaurant down there. I'm gonna grab something to eat. But to continue that topic that really captivates me now, I'm tired of being poor, you know. I think I'm a smart guy, you know. It's time to stop doing things that don't make sense. And I just wanted to focus, I mean, just emphasize one thing that this independent freight broker from Calgary told me. He said they have their own trucks, but it's extremely, that's what he said, it's extremely difficult to find drivers, you know, or if you find a driver, it's almost impossible to keep him or her for a steady period of time, because no one wants to be on the road. Like, you know, I'm on the road all the time. Well, especially recently. Before, of course, I was just, you know, taking it easy. That's why I wasn't making too much money. But now I'm on the road and still I'm not making money. So since everybody needs drivers, right, you cannot move freight unless you have a driver. So it makes sense that if I become a carrier and I already have a driver, me, and I can be a freight broker, you know, let's say if someone offers me, let's say if I'm an approved carrier for Landstar, so I can grab nice paying loads out of US, and then I'm a Canadian carrier because I'm registered in Canada, let's say in the future, right? I have my own authority, the license plate on the truck will be Canadian. So now I'm direct carrier. I'm not doing a backhaul, you know, I'm talking about Ontario to, let's say, Ohio. I'm not doing a backhaul like an American, I'm doing a direct haul because I'm Canadian, you know, for the shipper. So I hope that this way I can make, you know, more money than what I'm doing now with Landstar, because all shippers look at you, hey, you're American, you know, you don't need much money, you're going home. You know, for me, home is Ontario. And so I know what every trucking company does, even if they start as a trucking company, you know, specifically just, you know, move freight, and they don't do freight brokerage, but sooner or later they run into a situation where there's more freight than they can handle, because everybody needs trucks. You know, that's the reality of the business. There's never enough trucks. So if, let's say, I develop a relationship with a shipper, and this guy, you know, he tries me, right? He gives me 1 load a week, then he gives me 2 loads a week, right? Then he calls me and he says, hey, Sergey, you know, we've been happy with your work. We're going to offer you a steady contract. Can you handle 10 loads a week? 10 loads a week, let's say, you know, steady run from Toronto, Ontario to, let's say, Cincinnati, Ohio, 500 miles. And let's say the guy says, we'll pay you $17.50. Okay. But I mean, what do you say? I have only 1 truck, 1 trailer. Do I say no to this? Am I crazy? Of course not. So of course, you know, that's why besides being a carrier, I'm also want to register myself as a freight broker. So then we'll just sign an agreement with this guy, because he doesn't care, right? As long as I'm responsible for the delivery time and, you know, and safety and stuff like that. So he gives me these loads at $17.50, 10 loads a week, guaranteed, as long as I don't screw up, right? And now it's my job to find carriers. And then maybe I do one load myself, and then I just post other 9 loads on the board. So now I have people calling me, and then of course I can give them these loads, let's say for $14.50, you know. It all depends how good my negotiating skills are. And that's how I think you make money. And then sooner or later, you probably realize that, hey, what's the point of running my own truck and burning my own diesel and paying for repairs, when instead of 9 trucks I can hire 10 trucks, you know, and just sit at home, drink beer at 8 o'clock in the morning and just let other people move freight. But I don't know if I would be able to do that, because, you know, I love traveling, you know, I love trucking, so I can probably pick up you know, some easy load myself, you know, so something that doesn't require tarping and maybe needs 1-2 straps, you know, and give some difficult loads to other guys, you know. But that's what I think this business is heading, like this, my business, because I cannot let other people make decisions on my behalf anymore. I'm sick and tired of being poor. Well, it's time to make some money. So, like I said before, all I need is insurance. Once I have the insurance, I can get my own license plate on the truck, and then I need my own authority, and then I need to become an approved carrier, and then I need to register for, and also a freight broker, and then I need to register for the Canadian Load Board. So that's my plan for this year. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. And again, about that tequila, I'm warning you.